I'm Esther. I've been actually the voice of renter issues for the last couple of years here. Happy to see some traction after the time I've invested in this, and Tyler's been a good partner, and Alan as well. So I have a group called Monterey County Renters United that's on Facebook. On Nextdoor, we also have a renter group. Both groups are private, so if you want to join it, we kind of vet it a little so that renters that are worried about retaliation or anything like that can be somewhat safe. And I've actually, we've been getting some more turnout. Luckily, this is an example of it at council meetings. And finally, they kind of can't put us off anymore. So the city manager has asked me for a meeting. And last week, I put out a call on both of those pages to hear renter stories of anybody, and anonymously and protected. And I can't tell you how many people and how many cases in just 1 week. Karen and I started working on this about 4 years ago. And when we first started meeting with every council member, every assembly member and senator, we put together a packet and collected stories back then. We paid to have this packet put together. We gave it to all of them. There were probably 100 stories in there back then. And rather than use old stories, I put out this call for new ones. And they are worse and still many. And they range from uninhabitable units that are, mold infested and people having health problems, to people being discriminated against. I mean, one example is a divorced mother with 3 kids that could afford a house that she was looking at. When she was asked about her husband, she said, well, we're not together, he pays child support. The child support alone would have covered the rent on the house. They denied her. And she knew that it was because of that, because the house stayed on the market for other people to look at it. And they refused her because she was a single mother. So we have all kinds of, the renters category encompasses everybody. It's students, seniors, single parents, all minorities, every low income worker, so we've got to make a point of paying attention to this. And the only way we can get anybody to pay attention to us is public pressure at these council meetings, because otherwise we're going to put another X amount of years into this and really not get anywhere. So I'm happy to talk to anybody after this. And I'm also on the board of a nonprofit called the Housing Resource Center of Monterey County. And we work specifically on rapid rehousing and homelessness prevention. So Eloise, I want to talk to you afterwards, because
you can maybe go. They're starting a new housing thing in Seaside now too.
Yeah, that's a homeless shelter, but
maybe you can.
What I work on with this group is actually homelessness prevention, because what we see happen in all of these in the nonprofit world, and even the city councils that give money that they get federal money to them, is they all work on people's problems once they become homeless, but nobody really connects the dots to the simple fact that before someone becomes homeless, they are usually a renter that can't afford their rent. After moving, every time their rent has gone up and they run out of options, maybe they're lucky enough to find someone that they can rent a room from. And once they can't afford that anymore, they are homeless. And homeless doesn't mean people just living in encampments. It means people that don't have a home, a permanent home. So it is not just the people who are mentally ill or addicted or whatever, that people who say that it's not our problem. It is our problem. These are our neighbors. These are people that you come across daily in your lives and you don't even realize it. They make your lattes. They clean the medical office that you're visiting. Those people are the ones that if you don't even know if they're homeless or not. And you'd be surprised how many of them are. So I'm happy to talk to anybody else that wants to in detail about this. But we really have to change the narrative, because just talking about affordable housing and rent control doesn't do it. We've been at it. It's not working. Everybody complains about homelessness. Connect homelessness directly to the unaffordable rent problem, and then we can prevent more homelessness.
So I want to echo everything that Esther just said, because there's a lot of conversation, and folks approach me a lot around this conversation around homelessness and trying to deal with that problem. But how we deal with the homelessness problem absolutely has to include how do we prevent additional people from continuing to expand that. If we try to just address homelessness issues for people that are already homeless, and yet the faucet is still pouring people into that system,
Into the leaking
we're
bucket.
not investing our public dollars appropriately.
Just the